Ready to stand out, Army ROTC prepares you not...
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Ready to stand out, Army ROTC prepares you not only as a college student, but as a strong leader, allowing you to earn the rank of second lieutenant. You will be eligible for full tuition merit-based scholarships and develop leadership skills essential for your future. Start strong and enhance your college experience. Visit your campus Army ROTC representative today. To find out how you can earn up to a full tuition scholarship, visit goarmy.com/podcast to locate your closest ROTC program today. Army officers inspire, strengthen others. Paid for by the United States Army.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
I know karate, I know jiu-jitsu, and drive like a gangster when I'm coming to see you, see you.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Good evening, everyone. This is Diane from the Red Wine, joined by Darylyn, who is trying to get her face on the camera, but it's not quite working. You know, us technologically challenged ladies. Anyhow, hope everybody's had a great week so far. I just wanted to remind everybody that there is a national holiday coming up next Tuesday. It is, of course, Halloween, but more importantly, it's my 18th anniversary of being 39 years old. I just thought I would tell everybody that. And even better, Darylyn has a bet, but I am going to be going down the Cape next week. I'll be there next Wednesday night, Darylyn, and I will actually be live together at her house. So who knows what shenanigans we're going to get up to next week, Rick.
Well, Rick.
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
Well, how long have you had that to play?
It's always there, just in case.
Well, if you and Orty decide that you want a night off and Di and I are live, I mean, I think it would be a great opportunity to have me, Di, and our executive producer do a 2-hour show and really get down to some good, like, nitty-gritty with local and national politics.
We could actually have it with Orty, too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It could be called All of Us Behind the Circle K.
Well, I mean, not
deniers.
Not to put too fine a point on it, but it almost sounded like you were given handy instructions a bit ago. So,
ladies, you're not going to believe this, but our executive producer, Rick Robinson, is single. And
they all know.
Ready to mingle.
Ready to mingle, baby. And so we're going to fly him up here. Maybe when Scott Pressler comes up and, we're going to give him the tour all around Cape Cod, and we're going to call it Meet Single Rick.
I think that would be fun. Don't you, Rick?
Well, I think I'm a good matchmaker because, I've dealt with a lot of police officers, and police officers often have, 1 or 2 or 3 marriages or whatever. And what I said to one of my friends that I spoke to the other night is, A, stop marrying your girlfriends. You're on number 3, and that's it. You're done. You've reached your quota. And other guys that are getting a divorce, my other piece of unsolicited advice is, do not marry the girl that you cheated on your wife with, because your life is going to be hell. And then I think with Rick, he needs somebody who is a little bit more objective. So I think we should run any potential scenarios, and a background check should be done by Tango Investigations Incorporated.
Absolutely.
And we could,
and the KLRN radio crew would have to sit there and approve as well.
Absolutely, Stacy.
Rick is probably like, how did we even get on this subject?
Because we love him, right? And we take care of people who we love because we're very loyal friends, and KLRN Radio is a good family.
That's right.
I feel like I suddenly have a gaggle of Yenta.
Well, I think that we should start, we can take applications for potential matches for Rick, and I think that we should really undertake this in a serious way, because Rick's busy. He's a professional. He's a writer. He's a journalist.
I have a friend in Louisiana who may fight you over this concept. I'm just saying.
Well, tell her that bring it on, because I'm not afraid of anybody. And Diane and I, in case you don't know Rick, I'm sure you do, but we're the kind of friends that if someone does something bad, other friends would be like, oh, forget about that person. Not me and Diane. We get a bat and we're like, somebody's going to get it.
Yes. Nothing less than destroying that person would make me feel good, especially when they hurt my friends. I don't like that. That makes me very angry.
But on the other side, we're very loyal, and we believe in love, and we believe in commitment, and we believe in communication. So we feel strongly experienced to be able to find you your match. We just don't know what we're going to call this. This
magical mystery Rick tour.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it could be, we could have what would be great? This would be great. We have a 2-hour-long show, and it's like, remember that show?
The dating game. We should do the dating game.
No. We're not doing the dating game, because there was a serial killer on that show once. I'm not going there.
So, all right. So my friend from Boston Latin, her name's Christine Barakat, but she's now Christine Flynn. And I was watching TV one day, and we had lost track while we were in college, and I saw her on the dating game, and she ripped this guy. They went on a date, and she was like, your tie's too wide, your pants are too long, polyester went out in 1972, and the conversation was so boring. And I was like, that's my girl.
I mean, the poor guy's probably like, oh my God, I'm really sorry.
No, he was a jerk, and she would have never have dressed him down like that for no good reason, right? But okay.
Well, that's like we have to dress down any person that has to get through all of us before they would even get to Rick. They'd have to pass a strenuous full background check.
Oh, for sure. Because I'll tell you, the friend I spoke to the other night, he goes, I didn't marry crazy people. I go, yes, you did. But in the beginning, it's all love and flowers, and you're having monkey sex, and you're having everybody's on their best behavior, all that kind of things. And then you get mesmerized, And then all of a sudden, your friends are talking about you behind your back, and they don't want to say anything. But as soon as you break up or you get a divorce, they're like, "I knew that bitch was no good." And they're like, why wouldn't they tell you the truth before? He's like, "Because they saw that I was happy and I was having a good time." And I go, that's not a good friend. So you got to pull them aside and be like, "Hey,
I don't like that bitch." Excuse my
she's
French.
nuts. Like, move on." But let's get to the more simple.
Sorry, Rick, we're done with you.
Simple, Rick. We love you.
Story of my life.
It's gonna be my mission, Rick. And the corruption that's going on in Canton is just unbelievable.
Now, for background, remember we always have to do background because there's a lot of people that might not be from Mass. Canton is a town in Massachusetts that apparently, holy crap, it makes Peyton Place, the story, look like nothing. You have corrupt town officials, corrupt police officers. I think Darlene just fell off of her chair. I'm not sure. But anyhow, her camera did. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, I'm seeing the ceiling. So anyhow, so they are like literally top to bottom in corruption. Now, our followers, I'm sure, have been following our feedback on the whole Darlene side. Oh, my God. Holy shit, I'm so glad that's not live on air, or is it? Anyhow.
It is. They hear all of it, whatever.
I hope Rick can't see anything, or else he just passed right out.
Oh, Rick, can you see me too?
Oh yeah, I saw it. I'm just over here minding my business. I'm just over here minding my business.
I love you guys. Hey, KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign, and a little bit of fun every once in a while. That we can't tell
I think Rick's never going to recover from this. I think Darrell might have been hitting the red wine quite a bit.
I need a neuralizer to the studio stat, please.
Wait, what'd you say?
I need a neuralizer to the studio stat, please.
Oh yes, from Men in Black.
This was almost like a Bunny After Dark, right?
This is red wine after dark. I don't think Rick will ever recover.
Rick,
anyhow,
please don't sue me.
Hey, wait a minute. You guys have forgotten the first rule of KLRN Radio. We don't report sexual harassment. We grade it.
I'm like literally crying. I can assure you that will not happen by me.
Oh my God, I wish I had a screenshot of your face when I did that, because it was I wish we recorded this. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, everybody. We can't tell you what just happened, but okay, I digress. So Diane was telling us.
From the way Diane is laughing, they pretty much already know what happened.
I can't even talk. I
was probably there doing screenshots.
Holy crap.
Oh, I'm like crying right now.
Oh.
Okay, so to get back to seriousness here. So we've been talking about Karen Reed, who was the woman that was accused of killing her boyfriend, who was a Boston police officer. So this is the town that the crime occurred in. The town, I believe, they lived there as well, correct?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yep.
So Daryl's going to give an update on what, if anybody else hasn't been following Turtle Boy, I assure you should go read it because it's so interesting. I'm obsessed. But there's been an update with the reporter, Turtle Boy himself, and Daryl's going to update you on that.
Okay, so a very interesting kind of twist of fate turned today. I wasn't on social media very much because I did a big job last night until about 4 o'clock in the morning. So, but I saw this. It's a post that was on Turtle Boy fans only page. It says, "Remember the successful petition to get a special town meeting to bring greater accountability and transparency to our select board and our police department, ? We needed 200 signatures and got well over 300. Today, the Canton police began visiting the homes of people who signed the petition to ask them questions, an intimidation tactic aimed at shutting us up. The message is, keep paying those taxes for our salaries, but just shut the hell up. No constitutional rights for Canton residents. Don't worry, the Massachusetts AG's office, the ACLU, and the Secretary of State have been alerted." So if you signed, get ready to have your civil rights violated with a visit by the Canton police to be asked questions they have no right to ask in a free country. Did you sign the petition? Where did you sign the petition? Who was the person who asked you to sign? This person says that they got a phone call, not a visit. At 12:39 p.m., the same Canton police officer called me. He asked me to tell him the names of other people who had gathered signatures, the most un-American question I've ever been asked. And he told me he was investigating a very serious crime. He said a woman filed a police report at the station on October 19th. He referred to her as, quote, the victim, end quote, claiming that her signature had been forged. I explained to him that the people who collected signatures for the petition were law-abiding people who followed rules and pay their taxes, and that the people who didn't want any transparency in Canton were the opposite. He again pressed me for names. What are the names of the people who gathered signatures? I declined to answer. I asked for the name of this poor victim so I could check for her name on the copy of the petition papers we submitted, and he declined to answer. It will be a matter of public record at some point. What I should have asked is, and I will next time, is how anyone, including the police, even saw the petition. I wasn't aware that it had been made public, and I'm the one who submitted it. So someone, perhaps someone in the town hall, is giving the police access to it. And how did the poor victim even know her name was supposedly on it? Obviously, this was a dirty trick that the Neanderthals dreamed up. Either they're outright lying or they had someone sign with the plan of saying later their signature was forged. When people gather names for a petition, they don't check IDs. It's the clerk's job to verify the signatures. We simply ask people if they are registered to vote in Canton. The Neanderthals, who I believe she's calling the police, must have been bummed when they heard that we submitted something like 134 extra signatures. By the way,
could be in the select board as well, actually.
Right, she could, yeah. By the way, this police officer who was intimidating Canton residents today, potentially opening up the town for civil rights lawsuits, is supposedly one of the, quote, good apples. He's on the agenda for Tuesday night's select board meeting to receive a plum assignment. So, what we don't know is, one, did he actually receive a plum assignment? But what I do, and the information that I do have that says Brian Albert's brother, where the body was found on the lawn. Okay, no, Brian Albert, the body was found on Brian Albert's lawn. His brother is Christopher Michael Albert. And Christopher Michael Albert has several tax liens, state and town tax liens that he didn't pay. And he didn't disclose these when he ran for the selectman in Canton. And it's also alleged that in 1995, Chris Michael Albert was found guilty for leaving the scene in Attleboro. Now, I haven't looked that case up, and I'll do that, when Diane starts to, if she chats, I'll look it up while she's talking. But that allegedly happened in July 3rd of 1994, that he allegedly, and we don't know, but allegedly that he killed someone in a motor vehicle, much like Karen Reed is being accused of, okay? And Chris is accused of killing someone and then leaving the scene in Attleboro. It was investigated allegedly by the Mass State Police in Foxborough, and apparently there was 30 hours of a statewide manhunt from him, and he allegedly turned himself in to the police. The petition itself that the citizens are talking about was to hold a special town meeting. And Diane, you can tell the process after I just describe this and tell me if this information I have is correct. So in the town of Canton, they had to, in every town, you're required to obtain a certain number of signatures, and every town is different depending on your population. But this one in particular, in order to call a special meeting, they needed 200 signatures. So what the petition asked for was they asked the selectmen and senior leadership of the police department. They wanted to hold a town hall in order for the people, the voters and the residents of Canton to ask them questions. The second part of it was, if those questions were not satisfactorily answered by the select board and the senior leadership of the police department, that they could actually have a vote of no confidence. And third, if the vote of no confidence was approved by the majority, then they asked for an independent investigation of the police department and the town officials. So when Diane explained in the intro that the police officers were going around to citizens' homes and asking them who asked you to sign, what people were present, what people signed, what were they talking about, it seems an extreme violation to me, because I know that we had a Senator, Jamie Eldridge, that interfered with our initiative to have the voter ID. The voter ID put on the ballot, and he was actively interfering. So this is after the fact. So the petition gets signed, and if anybody doesn't know how this petition works, you gather the signatures, you bring the signatures to the clerk. The clerk takes your name and writes down your name and your contact number, and then when they certify those signatures, they call you back. So I'm unaware if they were all submitted by the same person. But to go back to this investigation of the police allegedly going door to door to ask these invasive questions, and I believe violating people's civil rights, is who asked you to sign the petition, who was present, what were you doing? That is all on record at the town clerk's office. Now, we can have freedom of information in that list and get it anytime we want. But allegedly, this woman, a woman, the police officer alluded to the fact that it was a woman, went in on, I believe, the 19th of this month and claimed this was 2 weeks after the petition was turned in. And I don't know if all the signatures were ratified or not, but apparently this one signature was approved by the town clerk. So allegedly, this woman somehow found out that her name was, quote, forged, and she made a police report on the 19th, which we will have Freedom of Information Act. But the police officer would not tell the woman who we spoke to on the phone who turned in this particular petition what the person's name was, what the victim's name was. So, Diane, you have a lot of experience in town government and being a select person, I say selectman.
I'm a selectman. I don't.
Right.
I mean, never say it. When I was, I used to say I'm chairman. When I was chairman, don't call me a chairperson. I'm a chairman. I don't care.
Well,
but
just to digress for 1 second, when I was introduced a couple weeks ago at the Cape Cod Women's Republican Club, she called me a person who's running. No, a person who's running for state committee woman as a female, just to like kind of joke about it. But Diane, so tell us what you know as far as town petitions and if you were, I mean, you are a selectman now in New Hampshire, but if this was brought to your attention, how would this be brought to your attention first? And how would it be referred to the police? Would this not be a complaint to the town clerk? Or
so what happens usually when they verify signatures for townspeople, at least in New Hampshire, they actually have they have the ability to go online to match signatures. All right. If the signatures don't match, the name gets crossed off, or if they're not a resident,
they compare the signatures.
They can actually match the signatures to confirm if they're. It depends on how far they want to go. Like if it's I mean, let's go back to the fact that when there's a petition that comes forth, it is advisory only. So the town does not have to do a special meeting if they so choose not to, because in reality, it's very expensive to have a special town meeting. It is expensive because
just stop right there for a second. My understanding is that the petition that's signed by 200 people is to call a special town meeting. And it's my understanding that once they have the specific number of residents, which I think is 10 or 20% of people in the town would be 200, that they are then obligated to have a town meeting. And I believe I read that earlier in Mass law that this is one of the ways, and that we suggest too, to be able to control your select people is by petition, is to for them to call a special town meeting specifically for what the residents want to be addressed. So this is a I don't want to say legislative process, but a
redress. It's redress,
right? It's a redress of your government, which we all know is enumerated in the Declaration of Independence. It's one of the grievances. We want to be able to have a redress of our government. So I believe that if it is passed and they have enough, that they are obligated to hold the town meeting. Am I wrong in that?
Well, I mean, it depends. If you're telling me that 200 people is 20% of Canton, which I'm pretty sure there's more people in Canton than, the 200
that's
to
the
represent.
Required, though. That's the 200 was the required per town. And I looked up other towns. In some towns only require 10
25 signatures.
So it's not uniform. But I can't find anything on the Secretary of State's
It's different, though, because when you have something that's only 25 signatures, you're talking about something that goes on the warrant at the next town meeting. Okay, this is a special town meeting, which has a higher threshold, because in reality, the select board could call a special meeting, but is there going to be anything? Normally, if they call a special meeting, it's for monetary reasons. For example, it's not to tell the select board or have the ability to ask questions, because the select board will say you have the ability to ask questions at our meetings every week or every month during public input, which of course I'm pretty sure they've shut down anyways. But
because this is what they do, as you know, they give you a very limited amount of time to speak.
Right.
So,
and I mean, keep in mind that it is not the right of taxpayers to speak at a select board meeting. That is something that the select board decides to give. Believe it or not, that's the law. You don't have to let the public speak. My philosophy is I'll let the public speak usually as long as they want. I don't, if they're there for a reason and you need to hear it. Problem is, a lot of select boards will get into a question answer session, and that's not what is supposed to happen. The select board is supposed to listen to the public speak and say, we'll take it under advisement, and then come back. What I used to do is I would come back the next week and I would say, okay, we heard this during public input, and this is what the board plans to do in the future. And that's how I would handle something like that. But as far as the signatures go, so your town clerk is the one in charge of certifying them.
Well, wait, I think we need to back up just one second, because my understanding, and correct me if maybe I'm confused with your explanation that you gave, but my understanding of the Mass General law is that citizens are absolutely allowed to call a special town meeting, and how the flavor of it or the spirit of it is supposed to be that the citizens that wish to speak to the body, the governmental body, the selectmen, typically would they offer that you ought to, as the people who are petitioning, you ought to have discussion with the selectmen first and say, this is what we wish to talk about. Now, if they tell you to go pound sand, your redress is for this petition.
Right.
And I want to say that I can't stress enough that this is your constitutional right.
Correct.
To be able to have a way to redress your government. And more broadly, from a 40,000 foot view of this, every person in every town may also do the same thing. If they have the requisite amount of signatures, they can control their town board. So I don't want us to minimize the importance of this petition, because our forefathers anticipated that we would not be happy eventually, because we would eventually turn towards tyranny, and they understood that, and that's why they put these tyranny-proof petitions and warrants and articles that people can use. And so, I would submit that this petition, the town is obligated, if all these signatures are sufficient, is obligated to have this meeting where the members, the residents, the citizens of Canton are able to redress their government officials, which they say is the select board members and the senior police leadership, who, if we divert for 1 second, I believe, and maybe I'm wrong, but I believe that the police chief lived on the same street in Canton where James O'Keefe was allegedly murdered, at Brian Albert's home, and he said that his ring cam wasn't turned on that day, which seems a little cuckoo to me.
And what they're going to say is that any anything that has to do with the police department is part of a criminal investigation, and you know that they're not going to talk and they're not going to give any information out whatsoever.
So I think
the
what
question
people
is
are trying to do, though, is that they are saying we want the opportunity to ask you candid questions, and we as a citizen body are asking for a redress of our government, and we want to hold our government accountable for what we believe is public corruption that's happening in the town.
You're gonna have to realize what's going to end up happening is that the select board is going to, if they do the special meeting and if it gets approved, they're going to be having their town attorney there, and more than likely not a single select board member is going to speak. They're going to be letting the town attorney speak, because any one of them opens up their mouth and says the wrong thing, the town is then in a liable position. So they have to be extremely careful.
Sure. But what I want to say is, like, I just want to clarify first what the people of Canton are actually asking for. Okay.
Exactly. And I think that that's could be because a lot of times petition warrant articles, they get put forth through the legal counsel of either like the AG's office or Department of Revenue, depending on what it is. If it's worded in any way, shape, or form incorrectly, it's an invalid request.
But here's my salient point. To get away from the specifics in the regulations in the mandatory language, okay? If we're looking at this, like I said, from a 40,000 foot view, generally we have a group of citizens who are saying that we want to hold our elected
board accountable.
The salient point here is that these people basically put forth what they wanted to do. They want to ask questions. They want to be able to take a vote of no confidence, and then they want to be able to ask for an independent investigation. Okay, that aside, whether that was done correctly or incorrectly, or it follows the rules or mandates of Mass General laws, should police officers who would potentially be affected by this town meeting, whether it happened or not, should they be allowed to go from door to door to citizens' homes under the pretense that some unnamed female allegedly signed a document that they believe is forged?
So let me finish what I was saying, because you asked me to explain how it works. Okay, before we get to that point. Because the town clerk has to certify the signatures. If a signature is not valid, it's crossed off. If someone comes into the town clerk, because my question is, was the town clerk notified first or the police department notified first about the forgery? Because if the town clerk was notified first, normally would just report it to Secretary of State's office. Secretary of State, and I can tell you pretty much right now, they're going to be like, maybe a signature was forged, maybe it wasn't. Did the person sign it and say that they signed it, but that they didn't understand what the petition meant? I mean, the police officer is not being clear on what exactly he's looking at. But it would go to the Attorney General's office. And then the Attorney General is the one that usually investigates any type of election or any type of town petition articles. So did the Attorney General's office call the Canton Police Department and tell them to investigate? So this is like the circular thing, where I'm getting at. Normally, Secretary of State should have been involved, and I'm not seeing in the time frame. I'm not seeing where they would have been involved in it, because Attorney General's office sits on it for like a million years, and so does Secretary of State. So normal rules, normally they would just cross a signature out. It's no big deal. The people that are collecting signatures are not, and let's make this clear, okay? When you come to election fraud, that is when you present your driver's license. Your driver's license is verified that you are a voter of your district, okay? And you get checked off. You go, for example, vote. Then you have to check out, and they confirm your, signature and whatever, or a license, whatever, when you leave after you have voted. That's the normal process, okay? Right. When it's a petition article, you're just a citizen. You're not, making sure that the person is who they are. You're not asking for licenses. People sit there. I mean, how many people have signed Mickey Mouse or whatever on these petition articles? Okay. Did Mickey Mouse and Disney sue or claim that their signature was forged? No. So then the question is, okay, how did the police get involved in it? And I can tell you that as a select board member, hey, it's intimidation. First and foremost, any police officer that goes to the door of someone and asks them questions or calls the person that started the petition and demands to know who collected signatures, that is intimidation first and foremost. Unacceptable. And if the select board was in any way, shape, or involved in this, and yes, the select board members may have seen the petition article when it came in, all right, because obviously the article would go to the select board because they want a special meeting. So any select board member, and I would do the FOIA, because guess what? They can't talk about this in non-public. Right? This has to be strictly all public. So who made the request for the police department to go out and check signatures? Because that should have been a public motion. And if it wasn't, then if I was any of the citizens in that town, I would be marching right to Superior Court and filing an illegal meeting, because that's what they did. Select persons.
So say that again so people understand it. They would have filed an illegal meeting if what?
If there is no minutes showing that this was turned over to the police department for investigation. And they can't say that this is a criminal thing, because it's not. It is a public petition. All right.
Well, now wait, is not forgery if this woman's claiming forgery. What I don't understand is they could have just crossed her name off the list and then made notice. I mean, first of all, I wouldn't be going door to door. The first thing I would do is I would look at the woman's signature and see if she signed other petitions.
They're gonna probably claim, okay, they're gonna say, oh well, they're putting these people's names on there, and because it's going to be an expense, because it is going to be expense, because the final thing that they're asking for on the petition is for an investigation that costs taxpayer dollars. Okay, so
we know how that works. Maybe they can hire Regina Ryan. She's already been sued.
I know, right? So, the question over this is it's pure intimidation that any police officer went. This should have been an investigation as simple as bring the woman down, show her the petition. Did you sign this? No, I did not. Someone forged my signature. Okay, well, who forged the signature?
Well, you never know.
No one's no one's going to remember that.
If 200 people signed the signature, you'll never truly know who the person was.
But I want to know who, because the select board would have had to have made this decision in public to have the police department investigate this. This guy's just not going to be knocking on everybody's door for one forged signature. You know and I know they don't even do that for a forged check at a bank. Let's be serious here.
But furthermore, you have to think of this. And police departments should have a risk mitigation person. It is a conflict of interest for police officers to randomly, here's where I think they're doing it, okay? You have to be lawfully present at a person's home to ask them questions. Now, if you get a call that, Mr. Smith is beating his wife on the front lawn and the police go there, you have a lawful reason to be there. So they had to create, if there wasn't already one, and I'm not saying that they did, but I'm speaking in the hypothetical. You have to have a lawful reason for being at someone's home.
Why wouldn't you just call?
And ask them, well, he did call me. I guess he visited some as well. But you have to have a lawful reason for being present. So my question is, did they create a lawful reason, or was there actually a person who said that her name was forged? Secondly,
and that's going to show up.
Secondly, it would be, in my opinion, it would be a conflict of interest to go door to door to ask the people who signed it, who asked you to sign it, what did they say, who were they with. I believe that that's a constitutional violation.
It's an intimidation tactic that is level with like the SS. Let's just put it that way.
And
all right.
We're working towards a police state.
But we're not, because they want to defund the police. It's a question of, you have certain towns, you have a corrupt select board, you have obviously a police department that is working at the will of this select board. So the question I would have is, what do these select board members have over this police department where they're having them do this? But secondly, there's a paper trail. There will definitely be a paper trail. And even if they did it by phone, there has to be a public motion having the police department investigate this, because the select board would be the holder of the article with all the signatures on it. Once it's verified, it would then go to the select board.
But would they not die? And you have more experience than me. So the petition says, one, they want to. There's three components to it. One, they want to have a town meeting to ask questions. Two, if they're not satisfied, they want to vote in no conference. Three, then they want an investigation. Would they actually go for an investigation without going through the petition components? And who's allowed to initiate investigation? Is a select person allowed to initiate an investigation where the police? I mean, I would think
a single select board member cannot. It has to be, the only time a select board has any type of power is when they're convened in a meeting. Other than that, they have no power on their own, period.
Because they cannot compel the police department, am I correct, to initiate an investigation?
And secondly, the process that normally happens when it comes to these type of petitions is it goes to the select board or the town manager. They review it, and then it gets usually sent off to the town attorney for legal advice, obviously, on how the process is going to happen or whatnot. It does not go from the select board to the police department for an investigation. It doesn't.
And listen, do we have? We should just do a kind of survey of what kind of crimes are happening in Canton, and do we think that this is a prudent use of time?
Absolutely not. It is
go door to door,
waste of time.
Just cross the woman's signature off and move on.
You cross the signature off. You send it to the Secretary of State. And the Secretary of State sends it to the Attorney General's office, and the AG's office is in charge of the investigation. That's what they have those investigators for. It is not a police matter.
Well, he's alleging that it's forgery, and I allege that he doesn't have jurisdiction. I don't know that for a fact, but my common sense would say that he does not have jurisdiction over anything to do with elections or petitions. And if this person is claiming forgery, I would say that the immediate action would be to cross her name off,
exactly,
not to go to door, because it would be a conflict of interest. We're citizens, so now you're going to the home of citizens.
They're intimidating citizens. Yes.
Yeah. So the citizens are saying that we believe that you are not being 100% fully
truthful.
Transparent.
Yes, exactly.
And so now they're going to each person's personal home and invading their privacy and asking them invading questions about their right to redress the government.
The minute I heard that, I was beside myself, because I was like, no.
This is tyranny.
I would never, ever have any police officer in my town that would ever sit there and go to anybody's house to investigate something like this. Unless they were compelled by the Attorney General's office, there's no reason for one single signature on a petition article.
And then address this guy. You said this person alleges, this post alleges that this person was then allegedly assigned a plum assignment by the select board.
So he was going to, he's been put up, because I did check their agenda. He's being recommended to become the town police prosecutor. So he'll prosecute like the criminal cases.
How wonderful. So they're questioning the corruption of the police department, and this person who's going door to door violating people's rights is going to be the police prosecutor? Woo-hoo!
Yeah, even better, right? Hey, maybe he's, I don't know. Obviously, I'm pretty sure that he was up for this role, and probably weeks or months ago, whatever, to finally bring it forth.
Di, don't you think this?
A little too convenient.
Don't you believe? Okay, I always say this. When I was in policing for 25 years, we navigate the gray.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as supervisors and as people that are responsible for guarding people's constitutional rights and not violating it, then why doesn't this police officer does not deserve, in my eyes, to be the police prosecutor if he's not aware, one, of the governmental process to redress your government, and if he doesn't realize that he's violating the constitutional and civil rights of these people by going to their door and interrogating them about a petition that they signed in order to redress the government. I think Canton PD is looking at a huge civil rights lawsuit.
Oh, absolutely.
And I believe that they potentially could be put in receivership. Because
I mean, the only thing I would say to that is look at unfortunately, look at the state you're in. If that was any other state, I would have a hope that...
I reject that because I think that there are some things that when you bring corruption into their face, if you make a complaint to the Ethics Commission and they give it a pass, like look what happened with Rachel Rollins. A complaint went to the Ethics Commission, they gave it a pass. A complaint went to every single senator. They gave it a pass except for Tom Cotton. And then what eventually ends up happening is Rachel Rollins was caught doing all the things that we know that she did, and she got held accountable. So I love it. Keep feeding these things in. Like keep feeding it a small amount of time of all these ethical and moral violations.
I can honestly tell you in all my years that I've been in public service, 20 plus years, I've seen some corrupt boards, don't get me wrong. Never seen anything like this where the police department went out like that.
I want them to keep giving it a pass. I submitted a couple of...
I want to go to I would love to attend the Canton meeting because me, I would get right up and speak.
Well, why don't we see when the next one is? And I'm sure
it's probably on a Tuesday night when I have mine.
but the thing that we're doing right on our Double D Uncensored page and what we, have relegated ourselves to, aside from, pointing out that maybe Matt Gaetz is an anarchist and didn't have a plan for Jim Jordan when he wanted to boot him. But that's another thing. That we want to teach people that they do have some power. And one of these petitions is a reason to do it. And when you step on the face of people's civil rights and constitutional rights, we will help these people shine the light on people that are doing this.
And they have to, because if they let it happen or it continues to happen, then it's going to be that more difficult to have them listen to you. And it's just the current erosion of rights. Like this Canton Select Board or whomever's behind this seems to think that they, control everything, and they don't. I mean, a voter's biggest power is their vote. So if these select board members are corrupt, vote them the hell out. Step up and run.
Can you become a select board member if you did not disclose that you're a felon?
Yes, because I know here in the state of Massachusetts, if you've served your entire sentence,
we love
as well as like if your parole is over and all that, yes, you are absolutely able to run for office.
So what if he only served 6 months of his sentence?
Well, I mean, if they considered it as time served, and he's no longer on parole or probation or anything like that, yes, he can run. It's up to him to disclose, but it's up to the people to investigate who they're putting into office as well, though.
Exactly. Okay, so what I want to know is who does the background checks for the Canton selectmen, and who ran against him that didn't bring this up?
No one does the background checks. You don't. You as a citizen, it's your responsibility to know who you're voting for.
No, I'm asking a hypothetical. I mean,
yeah, they don't run background checks. I mean, it's anybody can run.
So I had an opponent who was all upset with me because I did my homework and I asked about these particular inconsistencies.
Yep.
And that person is all upset because I didn't personally treat them how they thought that they would be treated. And I said, politics is a blood sport. You have to do your homework.
Are you kidding me?
you have to find, if you want a particular person to be representing you, and I implore people to not, can you hear my dog drinking her water? You are the loudest water drinker ever. But I implore people to do your homework on these people.
Yes.
And I purposely did not put out in the public any of these discoveries.
No, because you saved them.
Well, because if you think that the Democrats are not going to pull out these same discoveries, which, by the way, we did for free for other candidates.
Yes,
to let them know if they had any kind of picadillos that they need to get in front
well,
of.
here's the thing, and this is exactly what I told when Carly Fiorina was running. Okay, I could see and hear what was going on, that people were starting to rumble about. And I contacted her press secretary and I said,
remember, it was in the Wall Street Journal. I read that article.
I said, you need to get on top of this, because if you get on top of it and you're honest and you say, this is what happened, people are more likely to forgive and, look at what your current accomplishments are. If you hide it and it comes out, right before the election, or the October surprise, whatever, they won't forget it. That's going to be the last thing they remember. It's always, you got to get on top of it. If you have any skeletons in your closet, if you smoke pot or whatever, who cares?
Right.
Did you sit there and kill a pedophile? Who cares? I wouldn't.
If you're running on the platform that you're a particular way, and that isn't necessarily true, then you shouldn't be upset. You should be happy that was brought to light before a big
election. Yes,
for a big election.
But it's always good to be honest. And I know we're at the end of our show. Howard just seems to pass so quickly. But we'll be keeping you up to date on this. We're going to be investigating further into this whole Canton Select Board corrupt issue. I just think we need to go down there and rabble-rouse, ask some questions.
We now have a Medium account where I think we can start to post some documents. And
yes.
I think
we got to go, because I think Rick's going to boot us right off of here.
We love you, Rick.
Have a great week, everybody.
Find us on Double D Uncensored on Facebook.
I don't know. Rick might still be shocked. But anyways, we'll see you in next week on the Red Wine. And look for us on Double D Uncensored. We'll still be causing trouble. Have a great week, everybody.
I am a little shell-shocked. I'm not going to lie.
I'm sorry.